2023 Toyota Sequoia Capstone. This has the iForce Max powertrain, but I wanted to give you guys a little nighttime review to check out how the lights look on the inside as well as the outside. We'll start with the outside here. My favorite thing about the lights on this truck are the daytime running lights. Yes, these amazing quad beam LED lights are nice as well. When you flip on the turn signals, you get a nice sequential turn signal on them. And then when the nighttime lights are off, the daytime running lights are super bright, very sharp, very unique looking. So it gives this truck a very unique signature, and I love the lights. It not only is on the Sequoia, it's on the new Tundra as well. The new Sequoia is just massive, guys. The stature of it is huge. I was taking film yesterday and a guy on his bike rode by and he's like, it's a big one. All right, so on the nighttime lights on the back, I think they look pretty good. I get Lexus vibes, to be honest. The LS 500, for example, but we have nice sequential turn signals on the back as well. Now we're gonna come close to the truck here and you're gonna notice a couple things. We have ambient lighting as well as a running board that pops out for us. This ambient lighting goes along the doors, and then also we have that nice Capstone logo illuminated on the wooden dash here with this black stripe across it, as well as dash ambient light, which looks great. And then you also have it on the door there, and you have it on the doors in the back as well. We're gonna fire it on. One of my favorite things about the Sequoia and the Tundra, with the iForce Max, the digital screen, you get a new national park every time you turn it on. There's a handful that it cycles through. It just makes me happy. It's a very bespoke touch to these Toyota large platform vehicles. The Android Auto is massive in here. It takes up the full screen if you want it to. For example, it just is so big. The Android Music also is great in here. I just love the split screen functionality of the new Android Auto. And I don't really ever mess with the Toyota built-in software unless I am setting my presets, for example. Blue illumination, kind of standard par for course for Toyota vehicles, the blue illumination for the switchgear on the inside, as well as around the shifter and the rotary dial for drive modes. You also have your 4 high, 4 low illuminated. All of your radar cruise control settings and audio settings are illuminated here on the steering wheel. And this is, you're able to brighten this up, and it's just a single button here that just goes down and then it resets at the top. So I like it kind of around there for my personal preference. But we also, I mean, your heated steering wheel is over here as well, which is kind of weird because it's separate from your heated and ventilated seats on this model. Your mirror control and window switches and door locks are all here illuminated on the door panel. Armrest area, which is great, but this is your secondary armrest, and you can actually rest your arm up here when the window's up. The digital rearview mirror actually does a pretty good job here at nighttime boosting the ISO to make sure you can see well enough. Can I see better through the rearview mirror? Yeah, I can actually see better at nighttime with this than actually looking behind me. Also, the 360 camera does a good job actually illuminating at night. I can see everything around me really well. Notice that the ambient lighting is gone, and I haven't found a way to get the ambient lighting to stay on in this truck. So after a while, it just times out, and then your interior ambient lighting is gone, and that is a big, like, oh, it's unfortunate. I guess this thing's always working for me, the running boards. But yeah, the ambient lighting's gone, and it just makes me really, really sad because that's one of the unique things to this Capstone. We have illumination here for your climate controls, as well as heated and ventilated seats back here. And then if we go to the back, your USB-C on that side is illuminated, as well as the button to recline or fold the seats. But notice there's no USB on the other side. That's kind of unfortunate. You got to split with that guy. Also, just getting home, you can see that the ambient lights turn back on when your journey is finished. So they're there to greet you when it starts and there to say goodbye when it ends, but they're not with you during the journey. But they give that little attention to detail between the screen and the side vent here in the front. Now, I remember being in this exact parking lot with the TRD Pro Tundra. The turning radius in that truck was horrendous. Like, I had to do 3-point turns everywhere. This is on another level altogether. This is perfectly acceptable for a Sequoia of this size. I'm very happy with the turning radius that we have on the new Sequoia. I mean, this isn't the TRD Pro, so I'm sure the tires would be wider in the TRD Pro, but here on the Capstone, even you have these massive wheels on here. I think they're 22s. It still has a great turning radius and is more than acceptable for everyday riding and driving. Now, something you're going to notice throughout the video is that there is sound pumped in. It doesn't sound bad, but I wish there was a way to defeat it, because it's always there, and it takes what would be an overall very quiet experience from always being noisy, and it's just unfortunate, to be honest. I don't remember it bothering me that much in the Tundra, but here in the Sequoia, being more of a family vehicle, I feel like I want, and I trapped a fly in here. That's the one fly that's around at night. I wanted a little bit quieter experience, but let's see what it sounds like. Oh, the torque is just immense. It is fast, guys. This is a properly fast SUV. All right, we're gonna flip her into sport mode here in the iForce Max powertrain. Torque brake it just a little bit and go. Great torque off the line. There's 60. Holy smokes. 6.61, 0 to 60. I'm happy with that. We're gonna call it a day. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, under 7 seconds, 6.94. I wouldn't expect it actually to be any faster with it in four-wheel drive. So there you go, a little over 6.5 seconds to 60. And keep in mind, the iForce Max is standard across the Sequoia lineup. It's not even available on the Lexus LX, which costs more than this, or quite a bit more, especially compared to the base trims of the Sequoia. So you get 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. It feels properly quick in here. The 10-speed is a little bit slow to react if you need to put the pedal down, but once it's in the right gearing, this thing is properly quick for a huge SUV. Under 7 seconds, 0 to 60 is faster than most vehicles on the road, and then add to the fact that you're in a big whale. Again, the U-turning here, no problem. Pretty easy to get back into the center lane, pedal down. So when we talk about this 10-speed auto, most of the time it's pretty smooth and you don't really notice it going on, which is great. You kind of want that. You don't want a too sporty transmission in something like this. But every once in a while when you're downshifting, it'll clunk. And when you go from reverse to drive, sometimes it's really harsh and it's shuddering the whole vehicle. It's not every time, so just keep that in mind, that the 10-speed has some roughness that still needs to be smoothed out, but just don't think it's Toyota. I drove the Mazda CX-90 last week in the 8-speed auto there. That was more rough in general than this. Now, it's interesting because I drove the TRD Pro Tundra, which has the same powertrain. That thing was butter smooth. And I don't know why it's not quite as smooth here in this vehicle. I absolutely love the TRD Pro Tundra's ride feel. I don't like the ride feel in this truck. And the reason is, it's just a little harsh. It's a little bumpy. Some people say it's because of the, the live axle. I still think you could have a very smooth, because the Tundra has a solid axle on the back, but I know the wheelbase is maybe a little bit longer on that. But and maybe it was the TRD Pro suspension that made it feel super luxurious. But here in the Sequoia, with these, at least with these massive wheels, it is not very smooth. The auto high beams is kicked on, and I can see a good amount. They have a really wide spread of light here, and when you're at let's say in a parking lot backing onto your driveway, you have additional light that kind of sprays out to the side around the mirror. The braking in this truck feels great, I'll say that. Now, it takes some getting used to. The Mazda CX-90 I drove before this, that's why I keep mentioning it a lot. That brake pedal was super touchy and very sensitive just to the smallest input. This is the complete opposite. It's very forgiving, and there's a huge, I wouldn't say a dead space, but it takes a while for this vehicle, and a lot of progression for this vehicle to stop with that brake pedal. So I'm excited to see what the high beams do here. If they're good, there they go. They automatically popped up for us. I was hoping for it to do it a little bit earlier there. And there's no additional illumination on this road, as you guys can probably tell. I feel like you can see really well. So I'm happy with the lights. Like I said, it's not the brightest when it comes to height, I can still see a decent way up into the trees. It's not as bright as I've seen in other vehicles, but it does do a really good job illuminating these bushes off to the left of me. I also have a head-up display in here, which I like better at night than in daytime. I feel like I can read it better at nighttime. During the day, it's not very bright because it's kind of like this old head-up display we've seen in previous Toyota and Lexus past. The LX still uses it, even with the LX 600. That's on the same platform as this, and it's unfortunate because this head-up display is pretty garbage in my opinion, compared to the head-up display on the new NX and RX and RZ, for example. So I just wish it was updated a little bit to give us turn-by-turn navigation with your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I also wish it was more customizable and it was a little bit more high resolution, brighter and wider, but it's better than no head-up display, I guess, and it gets the information to me. It's just not as pleasing to the eye and it's not as crisp as I would like it to be. Now, since I've been driving this, it hasn't gone into EV mode, and the only way to know if this iForce Max, there it goes, it just went into EV mode. The only way to know that if this iForce Max's engine is off is to look at the tachometer. In typical Toyota hybrids, you'll get a little EV car button or a little EV light that pops up. And I'm gonna milk this to see how far I can go. Oh, it kicked on. It kicked on at 10 miles an hour. I think in maybe best case scenarios, if you're going downhill, you could probably get it up to 20, 25 miles an hour, but I don't really have very many downhills here in Florida. But the iForce Max gauge on here on the right only illuminates when the engine is completely off, and it lets you know how much electrified power is going to the small electric motor that fits between the engine and transmission. That motor is only good for, I want to say it's like 48 horsepower and 180 some pound-feet of torque. I'll fact check that in post. It's not that independent. It prefers to be working with the engine for acceleration, and if you're pulling something, that electric motor is always working as well as the engine. Like, the engine will never turn off if you're in towing mode. But in terms of fuel economy, the best I saw was like, I think it was 21, 22 miles per gallon just taking my kids to school with the AC off. So it is possible to get over 20 plus miles per gallon in the Sequoia, which is great. If you ask me, for such a large truck, because the old Sequoia, good luck getting like 15 miles per gallon. Back to because the engine's off again, it is very seamless, and this is true for the Tundra as well with the iForce Max. We got a full moon, guys. I don't know what that means here in the Sequoia, but when the engine turns off, you rarely know. It's very seamless and smooth, and when it turns on, when you're turning, you hear it fire up, but you don't feel it. So Toyota's done a great job with this large V6 to make sure that you never know it's on unless, you know, you hear the pumped in engine sound like this. Doesn't sound bad. I just wish there was ways that you can modify the engine noise and engine volume more specifically. The new safety suite works great on here. The radar cruise control, lane keep assist. In terms of steering control, that reminds me to the steering wheel. Steering in here is extremely light and lifeless, and that's because I'm coming from the Mazda CX-90. Most people won't give a rat's about the steering feel in a Sequoia. You know, for the moms driving out there, maybe they won't have to wrestle with the steering wheel like maybe they do in the CX-90, for example, because it has a more hefty feel to it. Here you can easily, you know, steer this with one finger, and it really wants to dance around even with the slightest input of one finger. But I'm going to end it there, guys, for my quick nighttime drive and review of the 2023 Sequoia Capstone. It's plenty quick. I think the transmission and the engine's plenty smooth. You can get pretty good gas mileage out of it as long as you baby this thing. The nighttime lights are a little bit of a disappointment because I can't find a way to keep the interior ambient lighting on at all times. It's only when you kind of get into the vehicle for the first time at night. So I'll see you guys down below. There might be a workaround to that. I just haven't found it on this truck. So I'll see you guys down below. If you have any questions, if you want to see more nighttime reviews, let me know. They're not super like technical or anything like that. It's just kind of nighttime impressions. And if you guys enjoy it, just let me know, put it in the comments. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I also appreciate a smashing of that like button for the nighttime review of the Sequoia. And I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day and take care of yourselves, and peace.